Did you see that?
Recording. Mm, mm, mm. Yes. Hi,
Hey, Kirsten.
Mark. Oh my goodness. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing good. Well, not to jump ahead, but we're talking about Umbrella Academy.
Yes.
Excited about that show. I did some cooking today, so that was pretty good. I think it came out all right.
Tell the people.
It was all very simple, so nothing crazy. But like some grilled chicken, or not grilled chicken, like seared it in a pan. Some pan seared chicken breasts, some asparagus, where I put like some minced garlic and some grated Parmesan on top of that. Put that in the oven. Got some mashed potatoes going, and then some store-bought Sister Schubert rolls. You buy a bag of frozen rolls, and then like what I do is like I'll melt some butter and then like brush them with the butter and then put them in the oven, and then they're like soft rolls, but you don't really have to like do the work of making bread.
So that's the brand, and they come frozen in a bag.
Yeah.
And okay, yeah, and Sister Schubert's.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Sister Schubert's. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna have to try those. I don't go out too often in these quarantine times.
Mm-hmm.
When I do, it's like the grocery store, or like I have Define the Relationship, DTL. Wait, DTR? DTR. I don't know what DTL is.
Oh, I don't know either. Yeah.
Define your life. Define that life.
Yeah.
But I have DTR, Define the Relationship, with Joanne Fabrics. It's very serious, committed relationship. We see each other often. It's wonderful. Anyways, one of the places I go when I do go out is like not even once a week. I'm good with like once every other week. I'll go to the grocery store because we stock up, we meal prep, not all the time, but we buy enough to get us through and to do lots of variations and to mix it up, buy the good snacks, what we're feeling for that moment, right? We all go through seasons with snacks. So next time I go, I'm going to get some Sister Schubert's dinner rolls.
Yeah. I can send you like a link to what they look like.
Link.
Yeah.
Link. So asparagus, the rolls,
some mashed potatoes, and
then the grilled or pan-seared chicken.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you ever do like fresh squeezed lemon in the pan or in a sauce or on your veggies right before they finish or before you eat it, or how you eat it once cooked?
Not regularly, not with any kind of regularity. Like I don't use like a lot of fresh squeezed lemons. What I do I'll buy like like those bottles of lemon or lime juice that you can get. Mm-hmm. I'll get those and I'll add like lime juice to like my smoothies.
Shut up! I was not expecting you to say smoothies.
Yeah. So like a smoothie combo that I like to do is I like to cut up some pear, some cucumber, and then a banana as a base, and then I'll add in some like oat milk and some honey, and then like a little bit of lime.
Okay, you threw me with the in the smoothie joint, and like you can't for real surprise me too much with cooking, but I continue to love to hear you talk about how you're cooking in these times, the things you cook, how you prepare them. I am here for the adventure and for the surprises, lime juice in smoothies. And I love a banana. I am the banana queen. I'm painting these days, so I'm about to commission myself for a banana art piece because we crazy about bananas over here. So I love a banana-based smoothie. I love your oat milk element for the liquid. I've often done like a vanilla soy milk or
Mhm.
vanilla almond milk, or something I'm feeling a lot,
Mhm.
coconut water or like
Yeah.
coconut juice.
Yeah.
Mhm. But we always throw in our friend banana or
Yeah.
some like frozen spinach. Doesn't have to be frozen, but I prepare mine, freeze it, and so that it lasts me a little longer. And I
Yeah.
use it when I want. Do you put ice?
Well, so I'll usually like freeze the pear and the cucumber and use it as needed. So like the pear and the cucumber will sort of like double as the ice. But
Hmm.
if everything's room temperature, then yeah, I'll add ice. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
Mhm. Yeah.
Something I've been doing with my smoothies lately, I love a smoothie tangent. Can we say that? I'm going to do
Yeah.
like smoothie tangent.
Yeah.
Yes. Um, yes. Smoothie tangent. Get on board. Choo choo. Uh, on this smoothie tangent, I have been loving buying and utilizing in my smoothies primarily frozen pieces of avocado. They sell it frozen in the frozen food section, and you just throw like a handful in there. It adds, even if you have the banana base, whether you do or if you want to replace it for that creamy element, it's
Mhm.
like banana will cream up your smoothie in the
Yeah.
like in a good way, right?
Yeah.
To keep it from being just like an icy slushy type of
Right.
smoothie.
Right.
The banana will do that. The avocado will do that. So if you do
Mhm.
both, it's like double the pleasure, double the deliciousness. Oh my God, that's such a good jingle.
Mhm.
Double the pleasure, double the deliciousness.
It's pretty good.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Someone like hire us. Mark is my muse and I am the musical instrument. I don't know what's happening.
Yes.
Hire us. That was like an accidental jingle hit.
Yeah.
But yeah, the frozen avocado, but again, like the spinach, doesn't have to be frozen. But like your pear and apple, to
Mhm.
freeze the fruit is to use like a frozen fruit element anyways.
Yeah.
So ices down, colds it up without putting a warm temperature or other temperature element in there. Oh my
Right.
God. Smoothie tangent. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. What about yourself? How cook anything interesting this week? Any like positive highlights this week, or just anything?
Let's see. There are, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
not necessarily positive, but not like bad. There are like for real bad things in the world, and this is not a major one, but it's just something that I've been like dealing with slash battling, which is gonna sound funny when you find out what it is. Don't judge me.
Oh, no judgment. This is a judgment-free zone.
Oh, I think everyone has something that they like, not so low key, kind of hate,
Yeah.
and I don't. I can't say they ever like did anything to me or my like lineage or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't I don't do spiders. I feel like that's reasonable, and I try and let them be. It's not like I go to spider sanctuaries and burn them down. No, I would never. I don't go looking for them outside
Mm-hmm.
to get rid of them all, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm not out to get all spiders. I just don't want them on me, near me, in my stuff, in my
Yeah.
car, on my car.
Mm-hmm.
Again, did I say on me or near me? Like, and the worst is above me in any shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah.
I also, and this is not just spider based,
Yeah.
but it is very spider associated. I hate to see them move to like all their legs. So like it's not the same way with like ants. That's not, there's something not so malicious looking about ants. I hate to use the word malicious for spiders. They're gonna hate me, but I really don't hate them. I just low key, all lowercase letters hate them. Like, just stay over there and like don't even let me see you. I feel like they they're drawn to me. Like I'm secretly the spider queen and don't know it because I see them and I feel like they see me and I'm like, I don't want to be your friend. What a lead up. All that to say, I feel like I've been battling spiders that keep finding me like where I have to go. Like once, this wasn't the most recent, but maybe like even a couple years ago, it has left a burn on my essence. I went out to get in my car and like thankfully just saw this web between my car and the other car that it was parked next to with this like big, probably very nice and like a fine spider person, but I was like, I gotta go to work. And I mean, like, what am I gonna say? Am I gonna call and be late because of a spider? Are they gonna really even understand? They're not. They're gonna laugh at me. Say, get your ass to work. So, you know, so that was a while ago. But recently, I have been seeing a lot, like on my staircase, right to my apartment. I'm like, that's like a gotta go zone. I cannot just live at the bottom of the stairs. That's not like,
Yeah.
that might be loitering, soliciting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't want to know.
Mm-hmm.
And so and because I'm not going out as much, when
Mm-hmm.
I do go out and like I turn to like lock the door and I see one like right there, and I'm like, you can't be there. And then the spider's like, but you're not like out here anymore. And I'm like, outside. This is where I live. I didn't come inside, but I'm like out here where I live. You're like in my apartment right now. And I'm like, yeah, but I have pest control and that like you can't be here. How do you feel about spiders?
You know, it's interesting. Like, for the most part, indoors, I'm not encountering too many scary looking spiders. They're kind of the smaller ones.
Mhm.
And I try to remember, it's like, well, eat a lot of other bugs, you know, do a lot of good things. So I'm like, so if I see a spider, I'm just like, well, you know, maybe they're gonna eat another spider. I'm not saying I don't kill spiders. I kill
I was
spiders.
gonna say you just like, okay, bye.
No. Like, I mean, if they're in my vicinity, they're going down. But but it doesn't like maybe go. It doesn't. I don't raise my shoulders when I see it. It's not like you know. What?
I was gonna say something inappropriate.
I mean, you don't have to say it, but I would like to hear it. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like, so what? What was it?
Well, when we post our videos, they ask if this is meant for kids, and I always check no. This is not meant for kids, and I always say like adult content. So I'm gonna say the thing.
Yeah.
Even though I even tell like my parents to watch our channel, still, they've met me before. They know some of the things. I keep it real. I say how I feel, and they're okay with it. I think they're proud of it. So I'm gonna say the thing. You said you don't raise your shoulders,
Yeah.
but when I see a spider, I raise my shoulders and I like pucker my asshole. And not like on purpose, like I'm like, I'm like, no. It's like the equivalent of it happens at the same time as when I furrow my brow. I can't even help it. They really get to me.
Well, you know, yes, no, I agree. Well, this is what will make me do all those things. Is like when you clock a spider on the wall, and then you like go to get your sandal, and then you look back up and it is gone, and you're like, it already crawled in my mouth. It's in my mouth right now. I looked away, and now it crawled in my mouth, and I'm gonna give birth to spiders in the middle of the night, I guess.
Yep.
You know? And,
Congratulations!
uh, and that happens not often, but more than it should. Where it's like you're clocking a spider, and I guess it sees me seeing it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like, well, time to disappear. Free got marked more. I think also the other reason though, where I'm maybe slightly more chill, is like, I'm in Atlanta, I'm in the South, and I forget what the science is behind this, because I think there is a science behind it. I went to school in the Midwest, and the spiders there, at least that I encountered, were like significantly larger. So like I'd be in these old college dorms or in these old college classrooms, and it was common, like in the like you look up in the roof of like a hallway, there'd be a web with like these like large juicy spiders. And
Don't say juicy!
but that's, I'm sorry, Kirsten, I apologize, but that I'm just telling you the truth. And there were these large spiders. I won't say juicy this time, but that's what I mean. And like, and it freaked me out. It freaked me out. But like, I was stuck there in the Midwest. Not stuck. I enjoyed being there. But like for 4 years, that's what I got. So when I come back to the South, and I see mostly like they're small, not so in the Midwest. And I think it might have something to do with the weather. I forget what it is. Someone told me. There's a reason. There's a reason why I saw those large spiders in Illinois, but not in Atlanta. So I think for this part, I think it's a mix of, it's just like, well, I've seen some worse spiders, and let's say I don't get to this one, it's off eating other bugs that maybe I don't want to see.
That is such an optimistic view. And like, I know that, right, to be a fact. Like, so many of us do. Like, spiders eat worse insects, right? Or worse and maybe more annoying, or like other things, which need to be eaten to keep that balance, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But also, like, do that over there. I have some follow-up questions. I do.
Yeah.
Follow-up questions.
Yeah.
What is your first like go-to method for when you do have to get rid of a spider? Say you see one on the wall inside.
Yeah. I'll try to get like a tissue or a paper towel or something and try and like kind of like.
Stop it! You're a like hands-on killer.
Yeah. Well, because it's like, well, the option number
Feel
2.
the crunch.
Well, see, here's the thing. It's like if let's say I don't have a lot of time, or maybe I'm freaked out and it's like this thing needs to die right now. The thing is, it's like if you get a sandal and you smash that against your wall, you're gonna like stain your wall with like spider guts. So that's why, like, instead I'll try and take a paper towel, but I can like scoop it. It dies, but it's like I'll try and scoop it, and so then I can like wipe, if there is like residue or whatever, I can wipe it down.
You can't be a gentleman and say scoop. In order to kill it, you gotta squish or crush it.
Well, it's like a scoop and then you squeeze it.
That squeeze, the squeeze is like key though. Don't try to glaze over that, because it's the squeeze that some can't do. Because you can brush it or scoop it away, but if your goal is to get rid of and or destroy the spider, the squish / squoosh or whatever is key.
Right. Yeah.
I can't do that part.
Oh yeah.
I am a all day spray girl.
Mm-hmm.
All day that spray. Oh my God, Raid. We need sponsorship. I am resilient and determined, Mark. We getting sponsorship. Someone's gonna find our little channel and be like, I love these people. They are fantastic. They are funny. They are charismatic. And they are deserving of big time sponsorship. Yes, Raid, get at us, homies. Spray all day, because the squish, I got to think of something clever for the end there. But right, for someone like me, spray all day. Mm-hmm. You don't have to touch it. It's fairly accurate, particularly when you first buy a can of Raid.
Yeah.
The stream is direct, right? As if you were to turn it, and you can't really help that whether you want to or not. Raid consumer feedback. You need a toggle. Sometimes I want a direct laser, and sometimes I need a spray, right? I need the option because technically I am a lifetime like Raid lover, but you don't have the option. It's just involuntarily when you first buy it, when the can is at its fullest, the stream is like a laser. And that's great for certain situations. But I can't clock the time or like the amount of Raid in the can that makes the differential, right? Or what the variable is that changes it from going from a laser like stream to a spray.
Mhm.
But it changes to a spray at some point. Like one day you're gonna hold it down. Sometimes it's mid spray, which is like, uh oh, it's magic. Now that belongs to someone else. That little jingle belongs to someone else. I don't know who, but yeah, it just changes to a spray. And because I'm a spray all day girl, I need
Yeah.
to buy stock in Raid as well. But then maybe I can't be the spokespeople if they sponsor us. Whatever. I am well stocked. I typically have no less than 3 cans in the house, and if I include my car, we count in 4 regular cans on hand because you need one in the car.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have the like in the bag can, which means I have an extra one in the house, so like a fourth one in the house,
Mhm.
and or depending on where I am in transit, a second one in the car. Because again, you encounter them between the outside of where you live and the inside, like before you get in your vehicle, and you might need one before you get to the can that you keep in the car, right? I wish, Raid, consumer feedback. Okay, I got the good stuff. I'm telling you, there are other people who are in these situations who are like, yes, speak it to existence. Get it, girl. Right. Consumer feedback. You also need small travel size cans, right? Small purse appropriate size, keychain size, right? Ooh, how I don't want to carry this for my in transit Raid, right? This is not a can of Raid, but it is equivalent in its size. It's bigger than it needs to be. You probably already have a purse. Maybe you have a baby in tow. Maybe you have a dog or some bags of groceries. Life props. Sometimes you got keys, if nothing else. And that's something that you always have. The can is too big to be in transit, although I make it work. All that to say, I got one over there. I got one in my bedroom. I got one in this little thing this little like basket thing I keep right next to the door because, right, you need one right handy right as soon as you get in the door. And then I got the one in the car. Sometimes I keep one over here next to the couch. Woo! I was gonna laugh if it was over there right now. It serves sometimes that transit can by purpose. Oh my gosh. So I'm a spray all day girl.
Mhm. Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Man, and you can get it way up high, right? You can get them up high, down low, in corners. If you strategic, which you have to be with spiders, right? You have to be if you go survive your encounter.
Mhm.
You can like make it think, oh, I don't see you. I don't see you. You don't have to scurry away, blah, blah. I don't see you, but I see you. You spray up high so that it drips down, and then you spray down low so that there's a puddle, and then you make a perimeter. You create a perimeter. Okay. That is how you keep yourself safe to come out of these spider encounters on top. Okay, because you don't want it to get close, you don't want it to get on you. I can't help you with jumping spiders. Yes, that is a living nightmare. I don't think there are flying spiders, but I also do not know all things. So who knows? I hope not. That is a nightmare. Spiders shouldn't fly. I got myself all worked out. Spiders. Oh my god. Oh, well, I can't stop with the spiders because there's so much. I also hate killing things. I really, I feel so bad. Whether I'm killing a spider or just like anything that has gotten in that is not supposed to like be inside, like you really need to stay where I can't see you. And that's just best for everyone. And
Yeah.
also why I can't see you, please. I respect you for where you are. Please don't have babies in my walls. Right? So even though I can't see you, I also don't want you to do me wrong
Yeah.
in the shadows. Just
Yeah.
stay all the way away.
Yeah.
Because I feel bad when I have to kill them. And I made a joke about this before we started recording.
Yeah.
I kind of am like on those episodes of Naked and Afraid where they absolutely have to kill anything that they eat, whether it is on the topic of spiders. I've seen them like put on a stick and barbecue a tarantula because it is a sort of kind of small amount of protein and it's awful. And I kind of fast forward through that part, but like, I guess I've still kind of seen it. I'm a little traumatized, as you can see the tears coming to my eyes. But even when they kill like deer or whatever, they often, especially if there's like a very in tune with the earth, maybe hippie lover, not to say all in tune with the earth people are necessarily hippies, no disrespect at all. But just like sometimes there are folks who are like, they will apologize and like give thanks, whether it's through prayer or just laying hands on and thanking that animal for their life, to provide sustenance, which I don't eat the spiders that I kill, but I do apologize. I don't, sometimes I'm like, if someone saw me, they'd be like, you're such a weirdo. And like, yeah, anyways, so I'm like, I'm really sorry, but you shouldn't have been here.
Yeah.
Even if they're like right outside my door, I'm like, this is still too close. I'm sorry. I know it's outside, but like, don't.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. It's interesting. Like with with uh, with bugs, where yeah, more recently. When I say more recently, I'd say like over the past like 10 years, let's say, I felt like way more like, I don't know if guilty is a word, but sorry about having to kill these bugs, you know? Or I guess like, let's say I start to like kill a bug without thinking about it. It's just like, let me not get used to killing this thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what it is. Or I do know what it is. You don't want to get used to killing something, you know?
yeah.
I still kill the bug. Like, I'm not trying to say I don't absolutely destroy it, but I do think like, I guess the deeper I've gotten into adulthood, I do think about it more. It doesn't change the end result, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've same. Yeah, I'm just like, I don't think I've ever liked killing them. When I was a child still living in my parents' house, I used to just put cups over them and then tell my dad. And be like, careful, that's not just a cup. But they all, like, immediate family members knew very shortly after my existence of being able to put cups over bugs in order to let them die on their own and not have to kill them. They know what's up, or they knew what was up when they saw an upside down cup. But like, even back then, I didn't love killing them, so I just would put the cup over them, one, to keep them where they were,
Yeah.
and or two, to recognize them as the beast that they were if they were able to move the cup.
Yeah.
Because, oh shit, you need heavy artillery.
Yeah.
Not that that won't happen often, but
Mhm.
anyways.
Oh, to go back to something that you had mentioned earlier, um, when you mentioned eating of the spiders, that was the first thing that my brain went to as well. I forget what made my brain go there, but I recently saw a video. I think it was like on Instagram or something. People taking these like large spiders. I'm sure they're delicious, but
Did you
people like,
just go like this?
yeah, yeah. Like I'll show you. Like
No,
literally,
no.
no. Like I'm telling this. This is the video, Kirsten. I
No,
won't.
don't send
I
me
won't
a link.
share it if you don't want to.
No, I don't. I want to be very clear.
I won't.
I want to be very clear. Can I be that emoji?
I won't share it. But you had mentioned it. You had mentioned it, and it was like that's the first place my brain went. Like I was scrolling through Instagram, popped that up. I could not look away.
That's
It's
not good.
fascinating, and
You're
I'm
gonna
not trying to.
set your algorithm to keep showing you things like that.
I know. I, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's tasty. They look like they were enjoying it, but like,
you're sure it's tasty? That is a big statement, Mark Kendall.
well, maybe not to me, but like people were eating it like it was tasty. I'm not saying I would try it necessarily, but if someone was like, "Try it, it's good," and I was hungry, I'd be like, "All right."
Absolutely not. We gonna have to be naked and real afraid. I would eat a whole lot of other things that are not regularly consumed foods before I would eat a spider. Uh, I would eat a lot of other things. I'm gonna eat some animals' nuts before I'm gonna eat a spider. Um, Although I say that like it's a big deal. There are like Rocky Mountain oysters, which are bull nuts, which are like, if cooked correctly, pretty good. Um, all to say, no thank you to all versions of eating or encountering any spiders. No, no. Oh, I I
Glad you
also
told me.
what
I'm glad you
Mark?
told. I'm glad you told me not to send you the link because honestly, like when you were talking about it, I was like, oh, I saw that video the other day, and I had like examples pulled up. And I was gonna be like, oh, Kirsten, you mean like this?
I thought we were friends, Mark.
Yes, I like. I mean, I didn't send it, and I wasn't gonna send it. I was gonna check with you first, but also I'm glad that you made it clear you didn't want to see that.
I want to make it crystal clear. Not now, nor ever do I want you to send me any link, picture, screenshot, or smoke signal of any spider or spider associated thing. I would do good to watch a movie with too many spiders in it. The movie Arachnophobia as a child, it took me, and I shit you not, years to watch that movie in its entirety because I was committed to conquering that fear. Oh, but I really, really could only watch a couple minutes at a time. I tell you, I don't even like the visual of spiders. It's not good. But also, I hate killing them again. Like I feel so bad. And I also think to myself two things. One, maybe it's because I feel bad and don't want to kill them in the first place. But I go, or not I go, but I feel like if you kill a spider, it sends a signal to the rest that you've done what you've done and they're coming for you. Like a signal has been sent out. And then you start to see more. Not that I've ever seen like a huge series of spiders in any sort of way, but like every so often, like I killed one outside of my door recently, and then like
Yeah.
3 more showed up, and I was like, no, no, this is not it. No, I got cans for days. I don't want to use them, but y'all need y'all sent out the wrong message. The message is she's nice and she doesn't want to do this. All we have to do is just not go over there. I'll even, if I see one on the sidewalk, not only because I don't want to get near it, but because I just want to let it be, I will move. Like if you see a bicycler or someone rollerblading. So I treat it with respect and I cross the sidewalk and I let it do its thing. Anyways, I feel bad, and then I feel like they send their friends for me. I also think to myself occasionally, maybe because of different varietals of movies and or TV shows that have been produced. For example, Planet of the Apes, right? I think every time I kill a spider or am about to, in a world where I was the spider, right? Like if spiders were sitting here in the apartment and getting on their laptop and there was like a me outside of their door just hanging out at night, and then I fall asleep and I forget to go back into the wall before they come out in the morning and they're like, oh, it's a little gross human. Oh my God, get the spray. Right? Like in a world where things were reversed.
Yeah.
I wouldn't appreciate that. But I would also know better. Don't go over there. You won't come back. It's like Paulding County. Paulding County. That was a joke. Oh. Oh man, I ain't got no beef with Paulding County. I don't know them. Oh my goodness. Oh, that was pretty funny. Let's see. So we talked about spiders. For quite a while. I feel like we talked about spiders for like half an hour. You know, that happens.
Yeah.
We talked about cooking. Let's see. Let's maybe hit one more thing. I don't know what I say. Let's hit one more thing, but I don't know. I didn't jot anything else down.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I did either, really.
And I don't want to always bring politics into it because I always watch politics, so I can always talk about that. So, but everyone else is, so we can save that for another episode. Anyways, you want to just get into it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Because there's so much. So all right, that was the other stuff. And like we briefly touched on earlier in this conversation of this episode, we are talking about the Umbrella Academy. We are on this episode talking about that episode 2. So if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel and follow our channel and watch all of our videos. We don't have that many yet. We a baby channel, but we growing. So we've already talked about episode 1 of season 2. We just watched and are about to tackle a conversation about season 2, episode 2. I'm so excited. Mark, are you excited about this?
I'm very excited, yes. I think it was this week, last week, couldn't remember when, but I was watching some Umbrella Academy. Finally got to the end of season 2. Oh, and we're talking spoilers, by the way.
Yes.
And we got, and I got to the end of season 2, and I was texting someone like, "Do you watch the Umbrella Academy?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Isn't the ending cool?" Wasn't this season cool?
What a generic question. Were you trying not to spoil it for them?
Yeah, I checked first to be like, hey, just out of curiosity, do you watch this show? And then when they were like, yeah, I was like, isn't it neat? Yeah.
It is neat. Oh my gosh. There is so much. Again, watch our previous episode where we tackle season 2, episode 1. There was so much covered in just episode 1 that, like, I was watching episode 2, and anybody who knows me in real life and or has watched one of our videos before, I am like the logistics details queen. I say that about myself. I don't know if anybody else would say that about me.
I think it's fair. It's true.
Yeah. So I take notes on everything. This episode, so season 2, episode 2, opens with a scene flashback of when Hazel shoots, I forget her name, the main bad lady of the Time Bureau place from season 1. What's her name? Do you know?
Is that the one that's played by Mary J. Blige?
No, that's Hazel's partner. But when he was like on the mission, kind of turned good guy in season 1, and we see him in season 1 shoot that lady.
Oh, I think she's just called the Handler.
Oh, is that really what the entire time?
According to Wikipedia, I think so. Let me see if she has a
I believe that now that you say that. Because we know her relationships with people as they develop, but I also wondered her name and thought maybe I just kept missing it, but I was like, no, I kept most of these other names, so that I would believe something like that.
Yeah, I think I'm on this Umbrella Academy wiki page, and I'm not really seeing any other name.
All right.
I mean, I bet she has one, but like at least as far as like how they tend to refer to her in this, it seems to just be the Handler.
All right, that's fair. We'll call her the Handler. I like that. Mm-hmm. Yes. It's like getting your name dubbed as a hero or a villain. That's like a big deal. We've got the Handler. Yes. Congratulations, ma'am. So episode 2, season 2 opens with a flashback scene that we've already seen. If you watch season 1, we've already seen this scene, and it's Hazel, the Time Bureau operative who was partners with Chestnut, or Mary J. Blige's character, not Chestnut.
Cha-Cha.
Cha-Cha. Sorry, Mary J. Blige. Guest on our channel. Yes, Mary J. Blige. I'm so sorry, but come on and talk to us.
To be fair, though, I mean, and this is nothing against Mary J. Blige. When I would watch the show, to me, she was Mary J. Blige. Mm-hmm.
You didn't recognize her?
Oh, no, I was just saying, I just referred to her as Mary J. Blige. She played a character very different from herself. She did a good job.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, when I think back on that, I don't think about Cha-Cha. I think, the Mary J. Blige character.
Okay, cool. Hazel and Mary J. Blige's character, actually named Cha-Cha, but Mary J. Blige. Mm-hmm. Hazel at one point turns like kind of good, falls in love with the human person, and like helps that turn come into its fullness. And by proxy, he is out to get the biggest, baddest Time Bureau lady person, who we will refer to as the Handler. And he shoots her in the head. Like, it's not like he missed. He shoots her square in the forehead in season 1. And so season 2, episode 2 opens with a flashback reminding us of that scene. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. and then it continues. We see the continuation of that scene, which I love, because when a scene leaves you like Umbrella Academy scenes so often do, going, what happened next though?
Yeah.
And so often you're like, oh, so many loose ends to tie up. It leaves so many places to go, which for the writers has got to be a wonderful thing, right?
Yeah.
Have so many places to go. So that shot in the head scene kind of continues, and we follow kind of the story trajectory of the handler. And we find that she's shot. I guess her body is found. They don't show us that, but we see her body on a gurney being wheeled down a like basement hallway of a crematorium.
Yeah.
And she's about to be cremated. We can still see the bullet hole in her forehead, so we are connecting those dots. There are two gentlemen gurney wheelers attending her gurney.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of funny. They're just like kind of funny characters who are having kind of a funny conversation, in which probably people in that field do, like any other field, casually chat with each other during their work shift. And they're just like chatting and wheeling her up to, I'm not sure what it's not a kiln, and that's for pottery, that the machine is called that you go into when you're cremated. Maybe I'm not sure. I don't want to misspeak. Whatever that is, they
I
stop
don't know. Yeah.
gurney in front of it. Again, just having their conversation, which is, I think, poignant, because they're not paying for real attention to her, right? Because to them, she's dead. And but she's not actually dead. We come to find as the scene continues. She like twitches. One of the guys see it. They recognize it, see it, say something. The other guy's like, no. Paperwork says she's dead. She's good to go. Let's put her in. She's dead. One farted all the way in the other day. It's fine.
Yeah.
Just like put her in there. But then they poke her and she opens her eyes, and she is indeed not really dead.
Right. Yeah.
Anything on that?
Well, it almost kind of makes you wonder, because she has this metal plate in her head saving her life. It almost kind of makes you wonder when they said the paperwork said that she's definitely dead. My thought is, it's just like, well, the paperwork would also say that she has a metal plate in her head, which kind of makes you wonder, was someone, wouldn't it? I mean, it's just like, I mean, she has like this metal plate, and it seems like that would be known. What I'm saying is, I wonder, was someone just trying to get rid of her? Not that would be part of the story, but like, just a thought. Because I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I had a furrowed brow a second ago of like shock and surprise, because that's something that I was wondering, and I'm enticed to hear you say that. It seems like you already knew she already had a plate in her head. I thought, as the scene continued, and later in this episode, she says, thank goodness for that plate in my head. I thought that meant like in her recovery of getting shot, they put a plate. But did she already have one in there for an aforementioned reason?
Well, see, I don't know. I thought that that's what saved her. I thought that's how she survived a shot to the head.
That also would make sense, though. And maybe, oh man, do I need to go back and watch season 1 again? Maybe she did already have it in there. But
I don't know. Maybe that's what. Maybe she. I don't know. I guess that's just one thing. But that makes.
Either way.
Yeah.
There's. After they realize she is alive, they do not put her in to be cremated. Mm-hmm. And the next cut to is her walking up to the still like Time Bureau place. She's, as the scene continues, like very much owning the walk, like coming back to her job. It says 3 months later on the screen.
Yeah.
From when she got shot / almost was cremated. And scene continues. She's boss walking through the hallways. I'm back. Not saying nothing, but walking like a boss. And she walks into what I think is or was her old office when she was like kind of running sort of the place.
Yeah.
Things are not where they used to be. You see her going, what? And then she turns and says, AJ. And so, who is, I guess, the new boss? Leadership changes have been made in her absence. And the new boss, AJ, is this man fish, not body of a man, head of a fish, but body of a man, fish tank with a head, with a fish in it for a head.
Yeah.
It's
kind of a trip watching him smoke.
Yeah.
Like his hand will like put a cigarette towards like a receptacle in his like in the where the mouth might be.
Yeah.
And then like the fish would then suck up a bubble and then cough. It was
smoke rings in the water.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty funny.
Yes, I love those little nuances about not only this show, the Umbrella Academy, but other shows that appreciate the nuance of those transitional details that other shows sometimes don't bother with, right? Yeah, I love that as well. I was like, yes. Let's see. So AJ shares with her the information, and we find out as the viewer that again, leadership has made some changes in her absence. She, though serving that Time Bureau place honorably and doing her job well over the years, she definitely had some moments where in her absence they have looked at her file. They are less than satisfied with how things shook out for her and how she handled certain projects and missions. So she is demoted, she finds out, to a degree that like this very kind of nerdy looking guy named Herb, I think, is now her new supervisor. Right. And they work in a small room or a smaller room with a bunch of other handlers. And she's just one of many. And she even walks in that room and thinks she's gonna sit at Herb's desk, and he's like, oh no, your desk is over there. And 5 has left his nameplate of sorts in her new desk, which freaking upsets her, and she like needles it into the wall or the chalkboard or something. So things are not going great for her upon her return. So you don't super feel too bad for her, though, I don't think, because again, she was kind of, and I hate that this phrase is like kind of sexist to just say bad guy, right? Why is he gotta be a guy? Equal opportunity. This almost like a villain. Let's just put it that way. She was kind of a villain in season 1, so you don't feel too bad for her. Sorry, real actor. # not sorry, because you played that role so well. To play a hateable villain, yes, you better earn that check. Guest on our show, guest on our channel, yes. Small channel, big guest, because everyone on that show is dope.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that's kind of catching us up on the handler. All right. I think, and Mark, always keep me honest, correct me if I'm wrong, we cut back to the burlesque club where Luther works. That's Strongbro.
Yeah.
And last we left, Luther had been given the new Apocalypse and 10-day rundown by Five, and Luther had been real like, nope, not interested, just living my life. I'm not a super bro. I'm not number one. Like, he's still not about it.
And I think with Luther, I thought about this more, and it's just like I feel like it's not just that Luther just doesn't care. It's just like Luther's the person that spent eons of time on the moon thinking that he was doing important work, and it turned out his dad just sent him there for apparently no reason. So it's just like he's had a situation where he believed he was doing something and just kind of like dedicated his life to it. And then, like in the first season, I think he took his position. He thought he was a leader, and then he kind of had that idea shut down. So I
And
think
he even called him, like, in the numbering of names as far as how Scrooge McDuck style billionaire dad referred to them, he referred to Luther as number one.
Right.
So gave him this, you're my favorite complex.
Right. Right. And, and I feel like that he's kind of shaken up in that way. And he's just like, you know what? I've already lived through one near apocalypse and I couldn't do anything to stop it. Let me just stay out of things. And because I think he's had so many people come up to him and say, like, this is the thing that's important. This is the thing that's important. And I feel like he's figured, well, every time I've jumped in, like, where has it got me,
Yeah.
So I feel like it's not so much that he doesn't feel like a responsibility. I feel like at this point, just kind of where he's at in life, he's just like, well, maybe it's better for humankind if I stay out of it,
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes. On the nose, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
You do, and I think as a viewer, you do feel bad for Luther.
Yeah.
You feel frustrated with him because as a viewer, you've seen this new apocalypse and he has got to get on board. Shit's going down in 10 days and the clock is ticking. His little temper tantrum, nobody has time for. But you do feel bad for him emotionally, and you connect with how he's feeling, and yeah, you feel for him. And so yes, the scene continues. Oh, and in their conversation with Luther and Five, we hear that we've described him, and he is visually a huge, strong, hairy, tough-skinned, super muscle bro character. Yeah. But in their conversation, they literally mention, maybe not for the first time, because I think it was mentioned in season 1, but they mention again in a way that is notable that gorilla DNA is finally showing itself or something. And so you hear, and Mark, you might need to help me on this, they do say that in reference, like, gorilla DNA is in him. And then they mention Pogo, who is the super Sib family billionaire Scrooge McDuck style dad who adopted them, but really just bought them as a transactional thing, knowing their value. They have this more than intelligent family member who is a walking, talking, but not butler, but like an ape, a gorilla. His name is Pogo, and he is killed in season 1 when Vanya is starting to, like, exhibit the strength of her power. She doesn't even remember / maybe know she did that yet. Mm-hmm. But at this point in season 2, they mention poignantly in that conversation, which I thought was notable, the gorilla DNA. And when they refer to Luther as number 1, I do feel like billionaire daddy Scrooge McDuck style adopter may have used Pogo DNA actually in Luther at some or maybe he was born in one of those 40-something simultaneous births by a gorilla. I've
Well,
never even thought about it.
well, I think I believe it's in the first season, like Luther gets badly injured, and so then his dad injects him with the serum to save his life, and the serum gives him like some like physiology as well as increasing his strength. So it's like, so I think that that's kind of what maybe brings that about. So
I love that. Okay, cool. Because I was like, what is that in reference to? And I didn't remember specifically, but I thought it was so purposeful that they mentioned it, because visually he's hairy, which, and is just strong like ape, is just like a wall of muscles. So I was like, yes, say what I'm wondering. So yeah, we got the Pogo reference again. That was a family member who was murdered by Vanya, who is a super sib in her like late in season 1, exhibiting the strength of her power. But again, when her power happened / happens, she doesn't know what's going on. Okay, Luther, to your point of like, it's not that he doesn't really care, it's just like he's been kind of duped his whole life and made to think
yeah,
he's something that he's not, or
yeah,
right, or serves a purpose that he doesn't.
yeah,
He speaks on the fact that like, because Five was like, we need you, you're number 1, and he's like, no, I'm not now, nor have I ever really been number 1.
mm-hmm.
That is just something that Dad told us.
Yeah,
The Umbrella Academy is not a thing. It doesn't need to be a thing. We're all on our own now, right? This like repetition of distribution. Distribution is not the right word, but like a repetitive cycle of the breaking up of the group.
yeah,
It's cyclical.
yeah,
Which I think is just like so worthy of saying, because 5 is like literally referred to as 5, and that's like, and they all pseudo have these places
mm-hmm.
that not so unintentionally were intentional.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I love this show. Oh, we're still in the club when that girl from episode 1, season 2, the little cigarette girl server
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
chick, comes back up to Luther and it's like, hey, the big boss is being bothered. In our last episode, I kept getting his name wrong. It's
Jack
Jack
Ruby.
Ruby,
Mm-hmm.
who, but I kept saying Jack White, who is like a white stripes.
Yeah, member the White Stripes, solo
Remember?
musician,
And
guitarist.
I also kept saying Jack Harlow. Like, I couldn't stop. And that is a rapper on the new DaBaby song. So Jack White and Jack Harlow guest on our channel. Guest on our channel. Yes, 2 for 1. Mistake turned opportunity. I was like, I don't know why I had Jack Harlow on the brain, but you're welcome, Jack Harlow.
Yeah.
So Luther goes over to his boss, who we hear him say he's the body man for, who we kind of hypothesized on as far as his role. It's like the body man, the driver, the person who protects the Jack Ruby character, who is the big boss of the club in the timeline that Luther is living in. The person bothering the big boss is asshole Hubby McGee from Vanya's situation.
Yeah.
Who is just kind of like rude and not the best husband. He's not all the way bad, but they do make him out to be, I think, mostly not great.
Yeah.
Because when we saw him in season 2, episode 1,
Yeah.
he told his lady wife uh, that he was going back to the office, typical 1963 after dinner reply, but he really went to the club to watch ladies and drink. He's gotten drunk, dropped his wallet. Luther is now going to remove him from bothering the boss. Again, drops his wallet, which is key. Luther gets him outside and leaves him out there. He makes a phone call back to the house, which is the farm that Vanya has been living on with Lady Wife McGee. Mm-hmm. And we cut. Do we cut? No, not yet. Getting ahead of myself. Ooh, better follow these notes. So we see the wallet again, and then 5 gets up to leave the club because Luther is being super like fuck off energy. And when 5, who's now sitting at the bar, gets up to leave to be like, fuck it. Well, Luther is a lost cause. His jacket pocket tears on the chair. Like low-key old school reveal. Yes. I was like, okay, classic. And so as his pocket rips, he sees inside the ripped pocket what is known to be the Franklin footage, which Hazel slipped into 5's pocket in episode 1 when they were sitting on the bench when he time hopped them out of the second apocalypse right before and he slipped the Franklin footage into 5's pocket right before the shooting started from the 3 bad bros.
Yeah.
And so 5 is just now finding that footage that has that little, we now know that it's footage, but we didn't know until now what it was. We knew Hazel put something in his pocket, but we didn't know what it was. And so I was like, ooh. And we see it's the Franklin footage. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Oh, I feel not always, but
okay,
to a low yet consistent degree, bad for Vanya.
Yes.
Because she always gets the shit end of the deal. She was made to believe she didn't have power. She was never allowed to go on the missions as a young vigilante superhero group, right? She was made to feel so mundane and unimportant, and we all know how that worked out. And again, in this episode 2, season 2, in the conversation with Luther and 5, I found it noteworthy enough to mention that they mentioned that Luther has this, like, I can't even call it a grudge because I get such a bad rap. A grudge is just a lesson learned and not allowed to be repeated. And so I hate that word gets such a bad rap. But he verbally says, well, 5, if there's another apocalypse and you're not sure how it started, I'm pretty sure it's Vanya's fault again. Like, just kind of says it plain. Like, she caused the first one. She probably causes the second one. So just find Vanya. Like, it's probably her fault. And that's like a heavy statement to come from anyone.
Yeah.
Let alone a super sib, like a fellow sibling and super power having person. The gift is often more a curse than it is a gift, and for him to know that and to be so over it, to just like say that plain, I think is purposeful on the part of the writers, because it says a lot about where he is mentally. He is not having this super life and shit keeps going wrong and it all leads back to Vanya and he's not having it.
Yeah, Vanya is so Yeah, it's like I feel like so much, and I feel like maybe I mentioned this last week, just like the theme of miscommunication,
Mhm.
especially in regards to Vanya and people not communicating with her properly.
Yeah.
And then it's that awful feeling when you're in a group and you're the last one to find out about something, especially if it's something that has to do with you.
Yeah.
Such a terrible feeling. And so at the start of season 2, you see that starting all over again. And so as a viewer, you're kind of worried because you're just like, oh goodness. It's like once Vanya realizes again, that she's not being communicated with properly, it's bad news.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's such a good point, because I also think all the players again are playing their roles.
Yeah.
5 always has the wisdom and tries to impart, whether he's understood or supported or not. He gave the knowledge to Luther, and Luther again is playing his role kind of in a different way, but the same as all the other siblings played together in their own way individually, of not communicating their own feelings appropriately, on top of not involving and including communicating with Vanya in particular. Because if you know it leads back to Vanya, Luther, why are you steady going, I'm not going to be involved, it's her fault, she's on her own? That is kind of how we got to where we were in season 1, again in a slightly different way, but the overall variables, A plus B still equals C.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So yes, you see this like, oh no, it's happening again.
Yeah.
And so we cut to the outside of the club where, oh no, we cut to the farmhouse, because drunk asshole husband McGee has been shown outside by Luther. He is called from classic payphone. Hello, payphone.
Yeah.
I think there's like one left in this country. Is that like I feel like that's a thing. There's like very.
The last one was in Horse Girl. I think that's the last time I've seen. That's the last time I've seen a payphone. Is the movie Horse Girl.
Yes. So he's called back to the farm because although he said he was going to the office, he's now drunk at the club and needs a ride home.
Mm-hmm.
Lady Wife McGee is getting her purse and is telling Vanya, oh, I gotta go. Harlan needs a ride. From work, Vanya says. No, he's at the club, Lady Wife McGee says, which we kind of all knew something like that, right? But now they know, and they are expressing to the viewer that we all know he's a drunk, he's at the club, this is a thing that he does.
Yeah.
So I need to go get him. The son, Harlan Jr., who doesn't speak words, I should say, or typical words, comes out and is kind of agitated that mom is about to leave. It's bedtime, he's in his PJs, and he's kind of upset to not have him get into a fit. Vanya's like, you know what, I'll go, you stay, read Harlan Jr. a story, and I'll go get asshole husband McGee. And there's this like, again, there's like the cutest little unit without the husband, right? The 3 of them, Lady Wife McGee, Harlan Jr., and Vanya. You're like, yeah, this is how families work. Teamwork, you guys. And then Lady Wife McGee says something so cute / interesting. I don't know, cute maybe is too strong of a word, but she's like, man, basically, I don't know what we did before you. I really wish I would have hit you with my car a long time ago.
Yeah.
Because that's how Vanya got there. When she dropped through the space-time continuum at the very beginning of season 2, she was so dazed and out of it, she ran into the street. She got hit by Lady Wife McGee's car. Yeah? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just like a callback. It's almost like a meet cute. like how people meet in real life, but and or movies. Like the meet cute. She got hit by a car.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so mm, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I won't. We'll go on to what Vanya does yet because we cut to Diego and Lila. Last we saw them, they'd escaped the psych ward that they were both in together. They're now outside. They've escaped successfully the building and the grounds. They're hiding, still in their like psych ward outfits, still en route of escaping.
Mm-hmm.
They scurry behind a building, steal some clothes off of a clothesline. Diego starts to be like, all right, let's split up. They're looking for us both. Good luck. As they're getting dressed in their new stolen clothes, she's like, low key, but you need me. I helped you. You wouldn't have made it out without me.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. They're looking for the two of us together. We'll be better off if we split up. Which is true. I can't argue that. That's
yeah.
sage advice.
Yeah.
And again, we similar to a sense you get from Lila in episode 1, season 2. She's kind of showing signs of clinginess, not in a obsessed girlfriend way, but in a I don't want. Let's make it a positive. I want to continue to be by you and with you in whatever you're doing. And you go, is this a crushing on him thing or something else?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know yet, so you kind of just go with crushing on you, because as they're getting dressed and talking about splitting up or not, they see a cop car start to roll by, and they have to get like really close. Oh,
Yeah.
what happened?
I was trying to do this with my hands and I flipped up my laptop.
Not in space.
Yeah, but I was like, yeah, they got real close. They got real close.
Yes, they did, and you're like, oh, right? Because it's like, yes, they had to get close to hide behind like a pillar or a pole to hide from that little cop car rolling by.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell they didn't hate it though. Right? You know what I mean? You're like, okay.
Kirsten, all right. So can I share my favorite moment of Diego? It doesn't spoil anything, but it's like the second to last episode. All right. So I'll just share a line out of context. It's just the funniest thing. It's like Diego's come back from doing something and he's talking to all his siblings and they're like, you did that? And he's like, yeah, I got all kinds of stuff going on y'all don't know about. You know what I'm talking about?
Do stuff?
Do stuff? I got all kinds of stuff going on.
Yes. I love that. It says a lot about him and what he thinks of him, of how he's viewed, and in part how he's viewed by his siblings.
Yeah. But oh my gosh, that has nothing to do with this episode. That moment doesn't happen for a long time, but it's just like that line was so funny because you meet people like that. They're like, I'm doing all kinds of stuff. Don't worry about me. I'm over here making boss moves, you know, when they're not doing anything.
Yeah. You just over there talking about boss moves without making any boss moves.
Oh, man.
And the moment you talked about last episode where 5 low-key, not so low-key insults Diego outside of his presence by just describing him is coming up in this episode, which again speaks to how much I love Diego and just like this complicated and complex layering of relationships he has with his siblings. Mm-hmm. And himself, really. Yes. Let's see. So they get real close, they get real cute, and she refuses to like let him leave her. And she's like, you need me. and breaks a window in a car that's right there. Basically breaks a window to steal this car, hot wires it, starts shouting, "Get in!" to like kind of pressure him to get in the car before the people inside the house, to kind of force him to stay with her. Like, if you don't get in, like, they're gonna get you. So they're still together and they escape in this car into the night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just kind of want to point out that Lila, she has like such a sense of play about her, which I think makes you underestimate her as a person. So it's just like when she's saying like, I want to stick around, I would say she is forceful, but like you were mentioning, you're just like, well, what is this? Is this a flirtatious thing? Is this whatever? And even when she drives off in that car, she's just like, oh man, that's so fun. I just stole a car.
Yeah.
So.
And not that we're there quite yet. We'll get there later in the season, but there is definitely a hidden sinister element to Lila, where in hindsight, it's like, that's how the best double agents do what they do. They are seen and observed to be unexpected. Mm-hmm. Right? And so I think that is an excellent point, Mark. She is being very playful for reasons that make you question who she is, but also make you off guard in regard to her.
Yeah.
Yes. So they're off and into the night, continuing their further to escape from psych life.
Yeah.
We cut to Vanya now outside of the burlesque club, where she has come in Lady Wife McGee's car to pick up Harlan, asshole husband senior.
Yeah.
Who's drunk. He's like, she sent you. She mad at me. Right? All drunk and like seemingly caring about if Lady Wife McGee is mad. She still loves me. Of course she still loves you. You just lied to her, Harlan. Like, you said you were going to work and you're here. So, like, get in the car. Let's go. Let me take you home. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Low-key cut to Luther inside, who finds aforementioned dropped wallet of drunk asshole husband Harlan, right? Mm-hmm. He goes outside with the wallet, realizing, oh, this is that drunk guy I just kicked out. Let me go take it to him before he takes off. Yeah. And he sees Vanya.
So last week when I was asking, like, do you think that Vanya actually lost her memory or was it an act? It was because of this moment. Because Vanya sees Luther looking back at her. And I was just like, does she clearly clocks him, like she sees that someone's looking at her, but she doesn't react, like she stays stone faced. And in that moment, I'm just kind of like, well, I as a viewer was like, all right, did she see Luther and was just like, all right, that's Luther, just don't react? Or was that non-reaction meant to be like, oh, Vanya didn't even recognize her own brother? And it was honestly mostly because of that moment right there. That shot.
Yeah. I thought it was such a interesting shot because the show, the writers, they definitely carve that moment out and make sure not only that the viewer sees it, but that Luther knows Vanya sees him. Vanya knows Luther sees her. We as the viewer see both of them see each other. And to your point, she sees him, looks dead at him as a gentle person who is looking at her. But then there's that breakaway. And I'm still on team. She validly does not remember, because I think as a viewer and as a story lover and liver, I think that the fact that they made that moment so poignant, they wouldn't have, I hope, accidentally painted the moment to be something that it wasn't. And they made it a point to, instead of have her see him and go like, right? Which was a little sinister, like, not to do, right? It wasn't at all that. And I feel like they knew the power that they were wielding in the moment that they carved out for the plot and for the viewer. It definitely was a sense of like, there's just a person I've locked eyes with who I see looking at me, but she also didn't play it, nor did they have her play it in a way that she even recognized that he was trying to actually notice her, because they didn't exchange the wallet. That right? Yeah. She didn't stop enough for the wallet to get to her. Luther was like, who does clearly remember, without a doubt, he was like, whoa, that's Vanya. This is the first time that outside of 5 making contact with another sibling, 2 other siblings, who neither of which is 5, have found each other, whether intentionally or not, in this case, fully unintentionally by their own part. The universe, I think, may be a little intentional, or the writing, of course. But for them, totally unintentionally, they have found each other for the first time without 5's direct involvement. And so Luther is shook. Also because of his feelings about, he remembers the first apocalypse and everything that led up to it. Yeah. And he's been here for a while in this timeline and not bumped into anybody. Mm-hmm. Again, other than 5 making contact earlier in this day's episode. Mm-hmm. So I still am on team, especially because of the later scene with Vanya and Luther that we're going to get to. Mm-hmm. I still don't think, again, let me make it positive. I still believe that she's fully experiencing amnesia due to the extent of her power, and it knocked her on her ass at the end of season 1. I don't know. That's where I am. Let's see. Oh, we cut. The scene cuts to Allison. We don't know it at the beginning of the cut to of the next scene, but mm-hmm. we cut to the 3 bad bros pulling up, same night, different part of town, same timeline. But again, Allison has yet to meet or encounter even 5 at this point. So none of the other siblings, and she too has been there for some time. She has a life, a husband, all these things. But we see the 3 bad bros pull up to the outside of her house, and they have a picture of her. So we know it's the outside of her house. They're coming to get her. Yeah. Because they are 3 bad bros. Yeah. An ice cream truck. No, a milk truck. A dairy truck. Mm-hmm. Which I think is funny because one of them is dressed as a milkman, and so is always pretty much dressed as a milkman. And at some points they're drinking milk, like old school jugs of milk, like a milkman would deliver. Anyways, hashtag shout out to the milkmen, milk people. So 3 bad bros pull up outside Allison's house, and then we cut to inside Allison's house. Her and her husband, low-key night inside watching TV on the couch. Mm-hmm. We hear some rustling outside, banging on the door. Allison hops up, grabs a bat, and then cops burst through the front door. Yeah, and it's 1960s. Again, it could be 2020, and that's still a bad situation. Yeah. Especially if you are Black. And Allison, again, as if you watched our last episode, hashtag I'm biased, I'm rooting for everyone Black. And Allison is the only Black character, and she's also, to at least my perspective of how I understand it, the only Black female identified character. So cops bursting in at any point for her is not great, and particularly in this time in history. So cops burst in. She's got a bat. She Black, so they're like thinking she's got 2 bats because her skin is a weapon. Long story medium. They're like, put it down. She puts the bat down after hesitating. Of course, she's like, no, I can take them. I'm a superhero. They don't know. They got the wrong one, fools. But she's living this like super normie life.
Yeah.
Don't know yet. We're about to, in this episode, find out, but we don't know yet if she's used any of her power, and her power is the power of the rumor. She can say, I heard a rumor and shit's coming true, you better watch out. So she puts the bat down. They sucker punch her husband. There are 2 cops, 1 on each of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they come in guns pulled again.
Yeah.
64 2020. So they come in blazing, puts the bat down, sucker punch the husband. While they're putting like the cuffs on him, he's like, it's fine, Allison. Because she's like, what are you doing? And they are telling her, we're arresting him for assault, which we come to find out in the exchange of the dialogue of the scene that from season 2, episode 1, when they were having the sit-in meeting at the beauty salon that Allison works at, and the racist business owner white guy knocked on the door. It was a setup, like so many actions of them, like malicious intent. White folks, be careful. Malicious intent is a dangerous thing. But that whole scene was a setup because the husband is now being arrested for assault when it's not at all what that was, blah, 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 blah. And so we see Allison twice in maybe 60 seconds of this scene start to rumor the cop. You hear her say, I heard it the first time, and then they like tell her what's up, and she hears the bullshit, and so she almost does it again. She gets a little further. I heard a rumor that, right? And then you see the almost take effect of the cop guy, and you're like, oh, finish your sentence. But she doesn't, because interstitially her husband is like, no, Allison, I'm gonna be fine. Don't worry, just relax. And I think, again, shout out to the writers, because I love a smart, a well-written show that's written to the peak of its intellect, right? The high-hanging fruit of the storyline. Because there are many moments in the show, many moments in the season, and many moments in this episode, this one in particular, where because of how well it was written and or acted, maybe it was an accident, but I doubt it, the cadence in which she almost twice rumors the cop, and the husband is saying, it's fine, trying to protect her like any mate or companion or even family member or friend would, knowing that you might get yourself hurt by trying to protect them, right? Yeah. But the way that it's performed / written is so clever, because you don't know, you start to question, but it's because you don't know if this new life, new timeline husband knows about her power or not.
Yeah.
Because of the cadence.
Right.
It makes you think maybe he does, because he's like, no, at just the right time. But maybe it's just good timing.
Yeah.
Did you catch that?
Yeah, I was wondering that as well. I was kind of just like, why, like, just why didn't she go through with it?
Right. Yes.
And so that's kind of what made me think, like, why didn't she go through with it? Was it to keep a secret from the police or from her husband?
Right.
Because I mean, just because him getting trotted off like that could easily be the last time she sees him. And so it's kind of one of those things where it's just like, she's got to really, really be set on not using that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I mean, it's just like, you're kind of wondering to yourself, like, or I don't know, like, I didn't think about this at the time, but like thinking back on that moment, it's like, if my wife can make a cop do anything, and I was getting beat up by cops and taken away by the police, I'd be like, Allison, go now. Now, Allison. now is the time. Now is the time. And he didn't do that. So I'm just like, what's wrong with him? Did they talk about this beforehand? Is he also a superhero? Or he's just like, I feel good about this. I feel good about my chances coming out on top. You never know. I might meet another superhero at jail that helps me out if my wife cannot. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh my gosh. Go, Allison, now! Right? Like, is there a code word that he can't think of?
I don't know. I'd be trying all the code words. I'd be like, pineapple, Spotify, 4242, Kentucky, United States of America, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, Old Testament, New Testament, Buddhism, the Western Hemisphere, Windows 95. Please, Allison, please.
Oh my God. Now, Allison. That's so funny. Oh my gosh, right? Like, if he knew she could, I bet he was like, what did I do? Because why aren't you doing the thing? But I do love that as the viewer, you do genuinely like start to wonder if you haven't already, right?
Yeah.
At this point, I think if a viewer is paying attention, you start to wonder who knows what.
Yeah.
And if she's even used her power in this new timeline. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved and hated so much of that scene. Because I think as Black people, Black and brown people of color, you don't love watching depictions of what you know was a reality and in many ways still is very much the same reality in a different decade.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing seeing depicted on screen. You know what I mean? Like, because, and I think I go back and forth on this sometimes. So, I mean, I thought that the way that this show handled it was fine. And I never, like the show was good. So I didn't have any problems with how like this show did it. But there's just something so strange about it because, like a lot of times it's either been glossed over or misrepresented. And then it's just like, even if you do depict it accurately, I just get nervous. Like, all right, is this show going to handle it well? Or instead, are they going to try and use it as like, almost like exploitation, like salacious, like suffering. And then I think about like the actors that are on set, like performing those scenes. And then they have to trust the filmmakers to make sure that they're going to do a good job with it. So, I mean, it would be weirder if it didn't come up with Allison going back to the 60s. So I'm not saying like not to talk about it. I'm just saying, like, there is such a history of it being handled poorly. There's still a part of me that when I watch scenes like that on what I would call like a white show, you know, I mean, even though it's a diverse cast, you know, it's like a white show. Yeah, I think about it sometimes, you know, or I'd say often, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like that they're not comfortable to watch, but you also want to see it depicted well because it is a reality. It was a reality, it is a reality, and not showing it is almost more of a detriment, right? Because even if you show it and you don't do it justice, you've at least created a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I really enjoyed it. I also feel like they approached it and achieved it in a really positive way. Not positive in like, yes, but well written and well acted way.
Yeah.
And it made you think, and I think it was depicted well. Okay, let's see. Three Bad Bros. Oh, so Allison's husband, I forgot his name. Oh, Raymond. Raymond gets arrested. He's like, it's gonna be okay. She's like, it was my fault. He was like, oh, it's a setup. No, no, no. We're like, yeah, it's happening. So he gets arrested by the cops, and she does not rumor them. I think after that we cut to Elliot. We cut to 5 and Elliot back at Elliot's place, which is like his little loft above his television shop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so 5 is asking, since he has discovered that Franklin footage in his pocket now, we do see 5 scratch out the date, which is, I think, key. And then he hands it over to Elliot and says, hey, you think you can develop this? You've done all these things. Can you do this? As they're chatting in the scene, 5 overhears that Elliot has a police scanner. Mm-hmm. On the police scanner, one of the things 5 hears is that there's, I think it's a 316, some number, some code of a crime he hears. And he asks Elliot, because Elliot clearly has the scanner and probably knows the codes, what's a, let's say, 316? Elliot's like, fugitive on the loose. 5 equates, it's probably Diego. Oh yeah, I left him in the psych ward and he is on a mission to save JFK. That's probably exactly who that is. And and then 5 goes to kind of maybe go and find Diego.
Yeah.
And that's like a little snippet scene and then we're out of there. And then we cut to Diego and Lila.
Right. Where, so this is interesting. 5 pops in the backseat. And Lila sees it. Lila's surprised. And this could be me misremembering the scene. But to me, she was surprised, like, wow, that's like, hey, wasn't that person on season 2 of the game? And then when Diego says, yeah, it's fine, it's no big deal, he's real chill, she's like, cool, okay. And you're like, you know what I'm saying?
Why aren't you a little more jaw smashed? Like, a person just materialized out of nowhere.
And not to say she's not surprised, but
like the degree is a little muted.
Right. What I remember was it gets explained away, and she's just like, okay, well, let's have this conversation. Just kind of like how I think 5 pops in, is like, Diego, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. And Diego's like, I don't know. You would think Lila would be like, Diego, do what he says. It's a demon child. But she's not like that. She's just like, well, Diego, you know, remember your worth in these negotiations. Do what's best for you. You know, like.
Yeah, you would think she would be a little more surprised. Again, like you mentioned, it's not like she's not surprised, but speaking to that like jovial essence that they give her, it's so playful that it's again engaged, and you just go, she goes, okay, and
Yeah.
you go, okay. As the viewer, you're like, all right, I guess she's cool. She's just crazy enough to be cool with it. But I do think again that is an excellent point, because these excellent points about her later will definitely add up.
Yeah.
In a very interesting way, if I say so myself. And so, like, 5, again, Diego is so on this hero mission to save JFK. That's the only thing he's interested in doing.
Mm-hmm.
He's explained his plan to Lila. She kind of laughed at him and said, that's not a plan at all. That's a joke. That's not going to work. That's not only not a plan, but that's a bad plan. And because his plan was, we're going to kidnap Lee Harvey Oswald, and we're going to cut off his trigger finger. And then he won't be able to shoot JFK. Got him! And Lila's like, wait, just kill him. Like, that's the person you're afraid is going to kill the person you're trying to save? Like, just shoot him between the eyes. Because if you cut off his, like, it's so dumb to cut off his trigger finger. Like, what kind of plan is that? He's like, because it's his trigger finger. And she's like, but bro, what if he's ambidextrous? And it's like, good point. He doesn't say that, but
He's thinking it.
He's thinking it.
Yeah, it's also funny too, because it's just like, you think he's the only one, like he just like organized this whole thing on his own, so he loses his trigger finger. There's not someone else also maybe involved that also has a working trigger finger, also maybe has a gun, you know?
That's what, and I think we touched on this last episode talking about season 2, episode 1. Diego, it's really laid out for you as the viewer. Diego is so clearly painted as someone who often, because of his hero complex, will rush into something and be so determined, but not consider any of the other variables and get himself in more trouble with the not well laid out plan, because he's so quick to rush in and save people or be the hero. Poor Diego. So
something I gotta say that I like about the way Umbrella Academy chooses to treat the characters is that what I feel like is maybe how it's different from some other superhero shows or movies is that you have other superheroes that are maybe just as powerful and also have just as much personal baggage or life experiences that they're going through and dealing with, but it does not seem to like hold them back in the way that like it does with these folks. And I mean that as a compliment to the show, in the sense where it's just like, listen, it doesn't matter how like strong or determined you are. It's like, if you have a hero complex, if you haven't worked things out with your dad, it's really gonna inhibit your ability to do whatever you want, whenever you want.
yeah.
You know? And so, or yeah, you're even like, you got super strength, cool. But it's just like, that doesn't mean you're gonna like go out there and then just right away end the doomsday. You know, like you need help, you need to work through whatever it is that you're going through. And so that's something that I think is interesting in the way that this show chooses to treat like superpowers, you know?
Yeah.
It's not just like something to skip over or hop over the personal challenges, you know?
Yeah, I think that's such an excellent point. And I also love this about this show. They, and I don't know if I would necessarily, but I do compare it to these other shows, but I do think it has an essence of a similar quality of Titans, the show, most recent real life actor version of Titans, and the show The Boys. I think on Amazon Prime. Both shows that I very much enjoy, both have superhero characters, and all three, including the Umbrella Academy, approach all of the superhero characters in the show, or superhero to whatever degree, as like real people who have lives and relationships that get in their way sometimes of being superheroes. And I say get in their way, not that life gets in the way of work, but sometimes life gets in the way of everything because it's your life, and it, because of that, is associated with everything you do. Your relationships are tied into your job is tied into your social media success. They even kind of touch it. All three of them just really depict them as real people with problems. Superheroes are not perfect, whether your superhero power is superhero degree or you just happen to have a hero complex, right?
Yeah.
You still have all these other things that you've got to deal with to make you great at the thing that seemingly is your label.
Yeah.
That's such a good point, Mark. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I thought that, but I hadn't actually like formulated an afterthought, you know? To end this little snippet of like Diego and Lila in the front seat, Five in the back seat, again trying to get Diego on board. Diego again being set on saving JFK by this like super dumb plan. Five is like, fine, you're not gonna help. I can't do anything about that. But he sees a cop walking down the street, and so he leans out of the car and he's like, "Excuse me, officer," because he knows there's a bounty out for these two psych ward fugitives.
Right.
That's how he plays his hand and gets Diego on board, because he's like, "I'll turn you in, no problem. I'll put you back in the psych ward so that I don't have to worry about where you are, what you're doing."
Right.
And Lila's like, "He's bluffing." And Diego knows that he is not. And so he gets on board.
That's what I'm saying, Lila. He just jumped into the car. How's your response a minute and a half later going to be like, you know, you can like time jump. You're bluffing. You know? Like, excuse me? You know, like,
It's hot and cold. It's like, wait, which one?
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if she played that card as well as she thinks she did, because even as a viewer, you are like, wait, what? It's like you break your neck trying to keep up with like where she's at. Noted. Oh, we cut to the lobby of the precinct where Raymond is being held, and Allison is now there the next day, presumably, to speak with him, right? As his wife, she's like, "I want to speak to my husband." She encounters typical kind of asshole, racist desk cop who's like, "Who are you?" Knowing who she is. "Who do you want to see?" "Nope, sorry." "Oh, he's in lockup." She's like, "I know this bitch." She's really trying to keep her calm and her cool and not like smack/rumor this guy into the wall. Because again, to play a good villain, which I think one might think of as Thanos, but also that includes racists, right? To play a racist well, you really got to make it believable, and believable is not as far away from reality as meaning past reality or current. So I'm like, kudos to that guy. Don't come on our channel though. But you rocked that role. You made me hate you. You're an excellent asshole. So he's not like for real giving her the time of day, and she kind of walks away defeated. We We see someone getting taken into jail, passing her, who we follow into the jail cell, and we end up seeing that that person getting taken back, who I don't think, at least I didn't recognize just in passing. You think, oh, just some random guy being arrested. But he gets into the jail cell, and he recognizes Klaus, who is in the cell. Last we saw him was in a montage where he was getting arrested for driving the truck that he stole the keys from at the poker game, right? Mm-hmm. He got caught, so he's in jail, come to find, in this town. Because again, all in the same place, spots in the timeline. In different parts of town, some of them have traveled. Like Klaus, I think, has traveled more than most of them in his time there. He's become this like prophet to the people, because he quotes things like he does in this jail scene to this guy. He quotes TLC, "Don't go chasing waterfalls," and
that was a great joke.
It was, again, shout out to the writers. I love that, because the guy is like, prophet, oh my gosh, you, and like Klaus is clearly like, I'm over being a prophet. We kind of got that sense in episode 1, season 2, when he's talking to Ghost Bro, Ben, about like, I don't want to go back to, I think, California, where he was super prophet McGee, and had hundreds of followers, had a mansion, pictures of himself on the wall, like high key prophet to the people who believed in him, right? So that connection is made. Klaus is there. Oh, yes. Klaus and Raymond end up meeting because it's the 60s, segregation. It's still an all-male jail. That's such a tongue twister for me. An all-male jail cell. But they're segregated. So the white men are in one side and separated, and they go in a separate little entrance, but it's the same room. And then the black men being held are in a jail cell where it shares one wall. So Klaus is sitting on one, and Raymond is sitting up against the other shared wall. And they have a marriage of the minds just due to conversation. And Klaus is like, oh my God, you're bright. And Raymond's like, oh my gosh, you're bright, but in not as much of a way, right? But they have a marriage of the minds in a way. They don't recognize that they have a common party. But they do. We know they do, because Allison and Klaus are super bro sibs, or super sibs, and Raymond is Allison's husband. So we know they're probably pretty close to making that connection, or meeting each other as super sibs. But Klaus gets out, and on his way out, he gets out because some of his followers are high power people who know the governor or something, and have put in a good word, having heard he was in there. And so on his way out, Raymond's like, you know the governor? He's like, tell him we're being held without bail or provocation or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. I actually, let's see, let me follow my notes, make sure I'm going in order. So yeah, Klaus gets out, and we cut back to Elliot's shop, where Diego and Lila and Five come back to together. Mm-hmm. And Elliot pulls a gun, and it's like, where'd you get this footage? And it's like freaking the fork out.
Yeah.
Because he's seen the footage. He developed it, and he has seen it. We haven't seen it, but he's freaking out because he has seen it.
Yeah.
Five hasn't seen it. Nobody has seen it except Elliot at this point, as far as what we know. And so Five, Diego, and Lila, Five and Diego in particular, don't even know what he's seeing. Mm-hmm. And so they basically subdue him, like super sib powers. They're like, cut it out, Elliot. We don't have time for this. They tie him up, and they watch the footage. Mm-hmm. it is grassy knoll footage, famous footage, but from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And in that footage, it's like I don't want to call them nobodies, but these two older characters who happen to be on the grassy knoll that day, and because they happen to by proxy capture grassy knoll footage of this epic historical JFK shooting. But in this version, what we see when they watch this footage is Diego and Five recognize billionaire Scrooge McDuck McGee dad in the footage, because they see what looks to be him with his umbrella and his glasses in the footage, and they're like, it's him.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Yeah.
I thought that was such a freaking like fun, not fun, but like interesting detail.
It's wild, right? It's wild.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, such an interesting twist, I felt, you know? Because you're asking yourself so many questions, because it's like, yeah, I think something that I really like about Umbrella Academy, with a lot of the characters, you're just kind of questioning so many things. You're like, Lila, what's going on with Lila? Allison and her husband, who knows what? You know, Vanya, what's she really know? So you're always, at least for me anyway, it's like, I don't trust anybody. I'm questioning everything, you know? And so then, yeah, you see the father character pop up, who's just loomed so large in this series, you know, like we've seen some of him, but not a ton. And he's obviously done a number on his kids, you know? So seeing him at the center of this like huge historical event, you're kind of wondering the same thing. It's like, oh man, what's he doing there, you know?
Yeah. And you know, it's probably like not a great reason, or I guess maybe you don't know that, but because there is so much mystery around that father character, and mystery and importance, you know that without that character, Super Sibs wouldn't even be a thing. And you also know, based on if you've seen season 1, I don't want to compare him to God, but I almost said like he works in very calculated and or mysterious ways.
Right. It's just like there's layers to the moves that he's making, and it's not so black and white. But the other thing too is like, you know, from what you know about him in season 1, he's not a good guy, but also he's not evil. You know, like he puts the Umbrella Academy together to fight evil. It's not like he's really using them to forward like his own personal gain per se, at least as far as we know. So seeing him in this photo, you're like, okay, well, like we see he's there. It just raises more questions, you know?
Yeah. I love the point of that last point is one in a series of many good points that I feel like at this point there are enough of them to create this string of points that all have a common denominator of the writers of the characters in this show are excellent. And again, as an actor, right, we will always want to make sure we give credit to those actor choices. So either the writers and or the actors performing and knowing their characters and letting them grow and breathe in ways that do this. This character has so many characters, like in life, that are often not all bad and not all good, which I love, because I think that's really a complicated equation to get right. And right is such a fluid word, but I do think that it's often easier to paint a fully bad character because those variables are clearer, a little more clear cut, or fully good, right? But also it allows you and invites you to think about your definition of good and bad.
Right.
To question your perspective
Mm-hmm.
as a viewer, and you see that need as the characters. And I love every bit of it.
Yeah.
Let's see. So they recognize Scrooge McDuck dad's
Mm-hmm.
figure in the video, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's Dad." In the video, blah blah blah. I think we cut to a very quick snippet of the three bad bros. They have taken over this house, which I guess this lady who's like cat lady of sorts had an ad out in the paper for a room for renting her home or whatever. We find that out just due to the dialogue. They show up at her door. There are three of them. She's like, I only have one room. It cuts to them basically living inside of her house. We surmise and are clued into like they've killed her and now they live in her house with all of her cats and they have made themselves at home.
And I think, when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, okay, like an interesting gag of seeing like these, this murderous trio living in a cat house, But looking back on the series, what I think is interesting or important about scenes such as this is I feel like they're intentionally showing us these people are here to do one thing, but when they're not, they're at home chilling with these cats, and like yes, they're trained killers and things like that, but these are also people, and like they, in their own way, they care about each other. They're a unit, they're a domestic unit together.
I love that they care about each other and they are a domestic unit. Yes, you better speak truth to that. Three bad bros have love for each other, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Because one is cooking, right? Which
Right.
is a very domestic, take care of, I need and I know you need, whoever's the we sustenance. And it's funny, the other two who are not cooking are seen in the background, which then becomes the foreground of the shot, like play fighting, the equivalent of what like young brothers would do wrestling while dinner was being cooked. But the other two are basically throwing knives at one another.
Yeah.
The first one throws, it hits the floor, and you think, oh, maybe it's a practice of how close can you get without hitting the other one. But the next one throws the knife, and it lands square in the leg of the other one, but there's no malicious intent when, again, because it feels like wrestling before dinner. They're not trying to kill each other. They're just like chilling. That's how they chill. And then we hear a thunk. There is a gold canister that is retrieved by these three bad bros from this little cutout that I guess when handlers have a mission, or that's how they receive their next mission. So maybe they always install this area to receive messages in wherever they are. So they've done this at this now cat lady house that they have taken over. So we just see them chilling in the house, kind of establishing the basic care for one another in between killing people. We go to Vanya, Lady Wife McGee, and Harlan Jr. They're outside enjoying life. Vanya comes out of the house, proclaims like either lunch or dinner is ready. Harlan, again, doesn't speak typical words, but expresses he wants to play hide and seek first. Mom, hanging clothes on the laundry, gives the okay. She goes in, finishes setting up. Vanya and Harlan Jr. start playing hide and seek. That leads Vanya into the barn daytime, looking for Harlan Jr. But also we see that Luther pulls up in this scene at a distance, like Bette Midler, at a distance. Classic song. We don't know those rights. Do I have to say that every time? Is that a thing?
I don't think so.
Okay. You're like, stop saying that.
No. I mean, well, you know what? I say I know, but and I think even then it depends on how long. But I'm acting like I know, but I do not. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyways, like that song, classic. So Vanya doesn't know he's there because he can see the house. He's clearly made the connection. This is where, because he still has Harlan Sr.'s wallet, so he has the address, how he found them. We see him in the car, nervous as all fork. He's got a flask, and he's got a gun, and he's got the wallet, because he knows he needs the flask. He doesn't know if he needs the gun, and he's going to use the wallet as the reason he's there. These intersect because when Vanya is looking for Harlan Jr. in the barn during hide and seek, Luther kind of walks in, having seen her go in there, and attempts to be like, hey, Vanya, it's me. She's like, you know me? Hi, hey, you know me, that's great. Again, at least for me, confirming that she indeed does not remember anything, because she is steady. Wait, tell me who I am, while he is steady like, stop fucking around, Vanya. If you are playing around, he low-key, like, not low-key, high-key apologizes, because she apologizes. Like, if you know me, I must have done something really wrong for nobody to want to have found me yet. And he's like, you shouldn't apologize. It was me and the rest of us. We weren't there for you. We did bad things, and when we could have just helped you. Brings tears to her eyes. You can tell it's this beautiful moment, but again, she doesn't remember really anything. Harlan Jr. comes out from his hiding spot, and then Lady Wife McGee of the farm shotguns behind Luther. She doesn't shoot him or anything, but she like joins the situation and is like, who are you? And he's like, I've got your husband's wallet. He left it at the club. She's like, next time use the front door. Got me? Does that kind of surmise that kind of interaction, that scene?
I would say so. And I think like another detail that's kind of a detail that I found interesting about that was, what's the lady's name that runs the farm and is the mother of Harlan? I forget her name.
I can't remember her name. I keep calling her Lady Wife McGee.
Yeah. But I mean, the image of her with a gun, to me, I think is a significant one, in the sense that she has it, knows how to use it, isn't afraid to use it. So it's not so much that she is like this scared person or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's a wonderful observation, because one, it's the 60s, and even any woman who is a wife to a husband, there is that cook the dinner, have your hair done, have the house picked up when I get home from work. I bring home the bread as the breadwinner, right, as a husband, kind of mentality that they do set forth, in that, like, she needs help. That's why she's so thankful Vanya is there. She needs connection, because he's always running off. He's only there for dinner, right? So that wonderfully like shot moment, like her with that gun, like, you're not gonna be coming up on my friend like this, right? I not only have a gun, but I know how to use it. Who are you? Make it quick. Yeah.
I think it also just kind of like I mean, again, this is just something that I didn't necessarily think watching it, but thinking back on it, it's like, you know, that friendship between Vanya and this lady on the farm is real. Because it's just like, you know, the type of person that's going to immediately grab a gun for you, you know, that's a real thing. So
yes, that's a real one.
yeah.
Yes. I don't know. Let me see. Yeah, and then, like, Luther leaves. He's like, he gives the wallet back. He, at this point, believes to some degree that Vanya does not remember. She's not, at least currently, a danger to herself or others. Currently. He does remember everything, so he knows now what her power is. And again, that's why he had the gun, because as Strongbro is, he knew that even that gun could not have protected him. I think, you know, as a viewer, if you've seen season 1, and he probably knew, but I think it speaks to how frightened of her potentially he was. Because again, the girl's power is number 1, even though she was made to believe she was last on the list. So he leaves. He gives the wallet back and he's out of there. And then we go back to the 3 bad bros. So that was a little scene in between those. So back to the 3 bad bros stabbing each other for fun. And then they get that gold canister, like, new mission alert. I guess, like, for the Time Bureau people, that's how they deliver your new mission or your new target. And in the canister is Vanya's picture. I think it's funny that they also show us that not only have the 3 bad bros taken over Cat Lady's home, but she's dead. Because they open the freezer and her head is in the freezer, still rollers on. There's this beautiful, like, comedy wave that washes through all of Umbrella Academy that I really appreciate. So Cat Lady is dead. Just her cats survive her. Let's see. Then we cut back to 5 and Diego now freaking out, having watched the footage and having recognized who they think is their dad in the footage, thinking, like, he shot JFK. He is, Diego's thinking, he's the person I now have to kill, or, like, have to think about. Will I still be on this mission to save JFK? But, right? Like, and also, like, that's just their dad, and it kind of looks like he's guilty of a historical major crime. So they're freaking out. Let's see. Oh, they... Follow your notes, Kirsten. I was about to jump ahead again. They look up, they were like, we really hope, or we wish there was a way that we could find him in this timeline, only if there was a book that listed everyone's name, phone number, and address, right? Again, the comedy wave never leaves us too long, and I love it, because again, there it is. You see a phone book at the table. They look for the name of Dad. I can't actually remember what his name is, as far as the dad in the show's name. And then I think one of them, either Diego or 5 or vice versa, says, like, look up the company, right? Because it's the Umbrella Academy, right? And they find the company. So they're like, great. We have an address to go and do some recon at to find this timeline's dad. Which in my head, I'm like, is that a good idea? Should that be your, like, go-to? Like, just go find them. I don't know. But that's their plan, and they got an address.
Yeah.
As they leave, as they go to leave to like head off to that address of this timeline dad's office or address, Five is like, what about Elliot? He's tied up. So Diego's like, he's gonna be fine. And then Five was like, well, what about Lila? Basically, like, is she gonna be okay? Is she gonna be okay with Elliot? Diego finds her in the dark room, basically a small room or closet of sorts, basically. She's low-key freaking out, kind of crying. She says that her seeing, whenever I start seeing visions, it means I'm losing it again. Like, you start to think she's a real psych patient, for real, and being impacted negatively by the craziness that's happening around her. And then they have this really like sweet moment, her and Diego. Again, that connection that I think if you've been paying attention, viewers, you've recognized at least a little bit, starts to develop again to another degree. He doesn't just brush off her emotes right here and like, fuck it, we're out of here, get yourself together, we'll be back. No. And there's that moment where you like expose yourself to someone like Lila is doing with Diego, and there's a key moment where they either about face and don't engage in some shape, form, or fashion, and you know, okay, that's not a real one. Or they double down with engagement, typically close distance to engage and to see how they can support whatever you're going through. He engages and doubles down. He gets close. He sits down. I think there's a point where he like touches her knee and then caresses her face. And I'm like, you better step up to doing a dirty. I see what's happening. I see. Okay. Because it's such a sign, right? Because there are those moments where you're being vulnerable with someone, yeah, and they either engage or they don't, and he fully engaged, and there's still this sense of him trying to fight it, but also not. You see him give in. So it's a really sweet moment, but then they leave. He's like, you'll be fine. Not so crass and curt, but he takes care of her in a sweet way, and is like, I've got to go. We'll be back. You'll be okay. You're not going crazy. You're not supposed to understand everything, and that's okay. It was real cute. So we're gonna stop here for now on season 2, episode 2. Because so much happened, / is happening. There's still so much to get into. Yeah. I cannot wait. But we'll continue talking about episode 2, season 2 on our next episode. And it's going to be great. So tune back in. Again, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like our videos. Yay! And thanks for watching. Did you see that?
Did you see it? Did you see that?
Did you see it? Did you see that?